Hello YouTube. Right, so what we're doing I said it again, I can't stop with the right so, can I? Right so this is going to be a thing now. Right, we're going to play the right so drinking game. So every time I say right so, you take a drink. Okay, so by the end of this video you should either be absolute full of tea or coffee or on the floor paralytic. So what I'm going to do today is, I don't know how far I'm going to get with this because my back is in bits. So the plan is, I want to try and get that door in, I want to try and get that end panel on, and all this furniture off everywhere from its previous life. Once that's done, I want to try and get the trim on here, and then kind of measure these up and maybe get these in. That would be nice. That then gives me a sealed box. Something I was thinking about last night is, once it's a sealed box, it's going to be bloody dark in there, so I don't know, maybe I'll leave one panel off for now or something so I can get underneath the angle to start with, then get some windows, some roof lights, things like that. The other thing that I need to do is, I know where my batteries are going to go and things like that, so once I've sorted the security out on the yard and in my little compound bit, then I can look at getting solar panel, battery, things like that, invest in that, and then I've got on-tap lights, power and so on. Another thing I was going to do is a video on firing the lorry up, because it's not been started in 9 months, whatever it is, and you know what vehicles are like when they've been stood, and I was going to get a video on all the procedure of that and everything, but unfortunately for me, as you can see, after I left the other day, Johnny jumped in it and it fired straight up, so he drove it round. So yeah, still need the clutch master cylinder doing, so he had to do it in low box first gear, but he got it round here. Yeah, in a way, what I think I will have to do is just see if I can shuffle it a little bit better, because I've got to paint that, and that's a little bit close, so let me see if I can shuffle it more further down and across. Base vehicle pretty much is in very good order, apart from the clutch master cylinder and the diesel lines. So I've got the clutch master cylinder now, and I'm going to get some custom fuel lines made up. Might even have 2 or 3 sets made up and sell a couple to offset my cost. But the only gripe with this truck, apart from the faded paint and the old tyres, is the roof hatch. And shout out to Build It Overland if anybody's seen it. He has remanufactured this totally. So that is one of the things that I need to have a look at, because as you can see from my third seat, it has dripped down and made that rusty over the last couple of years of owning this. So that is in order. What I'm thinking for the cab, fully soundproof this out, and then I'm thinking some nice custom seats. I love Lee Arnold's centre console, however I do want to keep this a 3-seater, so I need to look at options for this. I also want to have a dog bed in here, and then a crawl through eventually, so it's all planning around that. The dashboard itself, and what I'm going to try and do is keep everything as standard as I can and not molest any of this, however build almost an auxiliary second part that then I can chop and change and adjust without interfering with anything. Because what I've found over the years of messing with Land Rovers is, Land Rovers, if you maintain them with good parts to a good standard, are actually very reliable. The reason Land Rovers are unreliable is, 1, they're older than most things on the road. 2, every Land Rover owner is a DIY hobby mechanic that's not very good but good. And 3, they use cheap parts. And 4, they modify it out of factory spec, like mine. It's so far modified that it's almost, when you change one thing, it puts stress on another, which puts stress on 3 other things, and that's what causes a lot of Land Rover failures. With the truck, it's freaking huge, and I don't want to mess with this at the side of the road, so I'm going to keep everything as standard as possible, apart from 1, changing to a bigger tyre size. This won't affect it in any negative way, because first gear is barely used in this, it's a crawler gear, and 5th gear is short, so if anything, it sorts the gear ratios out a little bit. Second one, turn the fuel pump up. These come with, I think they've got 3 settings. I've got one of the very last of these, so it's actually got a better fuel pump on it. and they turn it right down to squaddy proof so they can do less damage. So we're going to turn that up to idiot, which gives them more power, which then, and it's within factory tolerances, which then counteracts for the bigger wheels. And then the third thing would be straight through exhaust, because coming 6BT, why wouldn't you? So that's about it for the mods on that. The rest of it will just be things like, I want full roof rack with bars coming down, I want spotlights all over the front of it, possibly, I quite like these bumperettes because they give a really good angle, some sort of winch tray on the front because I do want a winch, running down the back, side lockers all the way down this side, spare wheel's going to go on the back, which gives loads of real estate here for tools, camping gear, that kind of jazz. Down this side is the fuel tank and batteries. Move the batteries up and out of the way a little bit eventually, probably just blank a lot of this side off and run twin fuel tanks. I'm tempted to go to an Arctic lorry fuel tank, but here's where I'm unsure. The massive fuel capacity is brilliant, but if I go off-road and pierce one of the tanks, the lot comes out. If I've got twin smaller tanks and I pierce a tank, I've still got a tank, if that makes sense. I don't know, am I going too far with the redundancies? You tell me. And then the next thing, obviously, flatbed off and body on, and the majority of the work is going to be in the body, to be fair. I'm still on the hunt for some 14x20 Continentals, if anybody knows any. So something it does look like I need to address is we seem to be getting water in here. I think I've got a slight gap. So that tells me we need to spend a bit of time levelling this box out, ready for when I'm fitting cabinets and stuff. What we're going to do, first of all, is probably take all these little odds and sods off, all these brackets, all these, because these are going to be reusable for something else. I mean, that's a good bit of stainless, that, I think. And yeah, look at measuring these up and getting them in place. So I did actually measure all this stuff out and order it to size and stuff. I think what it was, I was expecting too much out of the people I got it off. It's not what they do. I don't think precision's their thing. They offer a cheap product, and I think what it was, I was going there expecting to spend a bit more than what they normally charge and get, you know, good, but to just knock it out cheap. So when they've cut all my panels out and stuff, they've done it with a big petrol still saw, and it's all over the shop and to the wrong sizes. But you get what you pay for, even if you do want to pay more and get better. It is what it is. I'll make it right. It might be a little bit of overboarding with some composite and a bit of trimming. It's not the end of the world. It just means more work to get a good finish, which at the minute it looks rough as, but once the paint's done, once the trim's on, once the lockers are on, it's not actually that bad. It just takes more, and it's one of them, innit? So we've got the door that's going to go in here. Oh, it's going to do my head in with this water. Put that out of the way because that's actually a really expensive item. What you can't see on camera too well is it's actually a really good door with blinds. It's got the electric lock and everything, so you can put it on your central lock-in. A tinted window. It's got the bit for the bin on. It's a good door. People ask, where do I get that? I can't be asked to look for myself. Unfortunately, this comes from hours and hours and hours of searching eBay, companies online when you're looking at horsebox stuff, no end of things, just troll the internet. There is no quick fix for it, and I get a lot of messages with people that can't be asked to look for themselves, that just want the answers. It is out there, it might not be out there this week. I've had this door 2 years. That's the thing, you've got to keep searching and keep looking for stuff for future projects. It's not just there on tap. A lot of the doors that I use on the trailers and stuff, I buy them before I've even bought the trailer. So what we're looking at here is it's too big there at the bottom. So that must be that way. take a little bit off the top here. It looks like they've just run a little high here. So if we just trim the top, that should drop in, and then that's one more wall that's complete. I mean, can you see how fast these things come together? Bit of glue all the way around, and then what we'll do is we'll plate across and fix either side on both sides of it, which then gives it the strength. So between the glue, the pressure, the strength, that side's going to come together. And already it makes drastic differences, do you know what I mean? So what we're going to do, so top and trim. Let's get doing stuff like this, just be ruthless, because you'll spend more time fanning about and making things perfect than just cracking on. So do what you need to do, get on with it, and then worry about tidying and finishing things later on, because otherwise you never really get anywhere. When I first started doing this stuff, I used to find myself like picking up every little screw and moving it to the right place and things. And I think it was Johnny that got me into it. And he goes in like a bull in a china shop and just tidies up after. And it's so much faster. So for those of you that are new to the channel, give us a subscribe. It's not just the lorry stuff that I do. I've also got the Land Rover ambulance. That's a full fitted out off-road camper van. I also do the off-road teardrop trailers, and as well as that I do the bits of bushcraft, bits of wild camping, and coming up soon I'm going to do some urban stealth camping in the vehicle and stuff, just as something different to do over winter really, and a few different hints, tips, things like that. So hit the subscribe. There's a load of you that aren't getting notifications looking at it, so make sure that little bell symbol's hit as well. You'll probably get them then. And yeah, let's follow on a few more of these bits. So what I'm doing now, I'm just trying to get a reference to how far this door's going to sit. So I know it's going to go almost butt up to the edge. So what I've done, I've got a piece of trim. I've put it against this piece of trim to give me a straight edge. And I've run a marker pen all the way down. That gives me a nice, like, kind of squared off edge. Then what I'm doing, I'm offering this up, and I can see it's a couple of inches to the top where that trim is, a couple of inches to the bottom. What I don't know is the internal heights of everything, because when you look at these, the floor's about, but I think it's a little bit thicker than this piece of trim here, so you've got to kind of gauge where you are. So what I'm going to do, I know I'm cutting down this line anyway, so just on this side of the line I'm going to take a point and I'm just going to go straight through. now what I can do is I can go inside and look for that hole. I can measure from the outside to the trim, I can measure from the inside to the floor. That'll give me the height that I need to do the bottom line, so I know the door's going to be exactly where I want it. Okay, so what I can do now is measure from there down. I can measure on the outside, and then when I cut the door out, I know I'm not going to end up with this random floating door. I do want it lifted up a little bit, just because I want that bit of a threshold, if that makes sense, so then you can climb over onto the step and down, rather than just kind of everything just flopping down. That's my plan, and I'm sticking to it. I've done a few doors now, and that seems to be the way forward. And if you screw up, like I say, you can just pop a rivet in. Into the farm auctions.
A pallet truck, a Davy Brown engine, an international, set of ladders, still saw, and a wing thing, a sausage machine. Cool.
A sausage machine? Is that what that... Is it a 4-cylinder sausage machine?
There's all sorts in there.
Good morning. Right, bit of a gap there. What ended up happening was I've come down, I've had a bunch of tasks to do, and basically I've just run out of time. Well, no, sorry, I didn't run out of time. The reason I ran out of time is it started raining and raining and raining, and it wouldn't stop. The parts that I was doing was cutting the hole for the door, so that's all marked up, but I didn't want to leave another great big hole for water to come in, and getting the trim on the back, which is glued and screwed. I ain't putting glue on wet plastic. It's not, it might be okay, but it's not worth the risk, is it? So yeah, that's where we're at for yesterday. So Johnny and Gabby at the campsite, I'll give you a whiz round actually. They were really nice enough to, they've got they do Airbnbs, and they've got a cabin and the army trailer and the traveller caravan and things like that you can stop in, you know, kind of quirky stuff. So they said, oh, just take the cabin for tonight and have a few beers. So did that, got up this morning, they've put a big breakfast on for all the lads and stuff, and now they're just getting the tractor out because they all went to the farm auction yesterday. So let's have a quick nab at what he's bought.
I can feel it. Right, it's all yours now. Right. That's looking better now at rounds. Well, this one's alright anyway. Right, other one's alright.
Right hand down, left hand down.
Straight back. Steady back.
Right hand down.
Bit of right, Johnny. That'll do it.
Then went straight up.
Left hand down a bit now.
Are we all good straight?
Straight at that.
Yeah, you good.
Yeah. Apart from the doctors, I've got What's Gabby's up? Cheap, please. With some rain shade and fuel pumps.
They've been stood a while. It's this old international tractor that I picked up. The bought as a non-runner, and apparently it was last on the road in 1988, so they're going to have a little tinker.
Is the battery any good?
Are you ready? Yeah.
You welding?
Wait now. It's nothing at all, it's just back. From that, them sparks, I don't know with that. Where did that power lead go? It was this, it was just dangling off, it didn't go anywhere. Oh, right, okay. And that's on.
Oh, it almost turned then.
So why is the valve thing not working anymore?
I thought there should be a wire down to that.
No, this is it.
That is your live switch.
Yeah. Push that down.
So what I'm doing this morning is I'm trying to square everything up. So unfortunately, Stevie will undercut this out. I think what it is, they're very industrial people. They've probably used a petrol still saw, not really measured much. They've gone all over the shop. So unfortunately for me, I've started from the smallest point, which is that one, which is 5144, measured down, and can you see how much that one's out? Which, that's not terrible, that's only 10 mil. You can trim that one, but then when I do the 5144 on this side, I'm best part of an inch out. So by the time I get to here, look, that's a fair old chunk that, so we're going to have to trim that off and then measure along the top and trim that to get a nice flat flush edge, and then we can get the then we can measure 50 back from here, which is the width of the insulation, and put the aluminium trim, screw and glue on there, and then we can just butt the wall into it. Side of this is there's multiple different things. Yes, I should have a mask on. Yes, I should have eye protection on. Yes, I should have gloves on. It's fiberglass, then wood, then insulation, then wood, then fiberglass. So that's not the best tool. I really wish I had a recip saw. I'll get one eventually, but you work with the tools that you've got, and that's the idea of all this, is showing that it can be done. It's a huge project, and it doesn't have to be a £1 million build. And I want to, the idea is show that someone with basic tools and stuff can put this together without either having loads of money or just turning around to a company and just saying, there's a chunk of money, build it for me, and I'll pretend that I know what I'm on with to everybody else afterwards. So, do you know what I mean? Get your hands dirty. The blue bit in the middle, that's only like a foam insulation, so that's really easy to go through. It's just the multi-surfaces. The grinder's not made for it, it's not ideal, but it is eventually going through. It's just taking a lot of work to kind of burn its way through the wood. Ideal world, you get a recip saw with like a multi-cut blade and just go down the full thing. It's just one of them things, isn't it? It's nice to have the right tool, but you can also persevere with the wrong tool and still get the same results. Luckily enough, as much as this isn't the most perfect cut in the world, it's damn sight better than what was on because it's square. But once the trim's on the inside and it's screwed and glued, the big trim that goes on the outside, this stuff here, hides a multitude of sins. So that will be the final square, the final bit that's glued on and screwed on. So you won't actually see any of this, which is nice. A lot of people think that this is all, I mean, you can get the, like you look at Lee's, this is all precision cut, probably laser cut out and all the rest of it. That is like A1 work. But the other stuff, you'd be amazed what a lot of the companies that do these do, and then just hide with trims, glue and a bit of paint. While I'm here, have a look at these vans. Let's just have a, they're all pulling out now, so I may as well get a little bit of a look. Right, as always, helicopter. So we start filming Halo. Right. Right, so I'm gonna have to leave it as that for now. I didn't get anywhere near what I wanted done. Apologies. I wanted something more dramatic and more substantial to show you. I mean, if anything, the only thing I'm showing you is stuff goes wrong and these builds take forever. Just had a phone call from my missus. She's not very well, so I'm gonna have to go now, pick the little one up and do a few errands and stuff. So I'm gonna tidy up, get out of the way, and is what it is. A couple more weekends. What I'm gonna try and do, because once that door's in, that's covered up, it's gonna be very dark in here. So I'm gonna try and get hold of a big roof hatch, because where the bed's gonna go, roughly there, I want to be able to open a big roof hatch and see the stars when I'm like camping and stuff. But as well as that, I want to be able to jump up and get on the roof and clean my solar panels. But while I'm working on it, it will give a lot of light in here. So there'll be the light in there. We'll get this sealed up, and then I'm going to have a word, and it's going to be time. I think the next thing will be the seat box in that corner. Once the seat box is in and this is secured and I can lock it and things, then I'm going to look at getting the solar and battery system and a diesel heater. Reason being, I can come down here, I can work, I can put the lights on, I can charge my stuff. It just makes it a usable workspace then, that then just gets better and better and better. So I'll get that bit in, then I'll get the bed base in, and then if I come down here for a weekend, I've got my own bed, I've got my own electric, I've got a place to be. So sounds crackers, but it'll work. So if you haven't already, give us a subscribe. If you're already subscribed, just check the little bell icon, because lots of people aren't getting the notifications. Last video that I checked, out of 23,000 subscribers, 200 got a notification and actually watched the video. So it's not going out there. So if you can just check you've got the bell icon done. If you're not getting the notifications, unsubscribe, resubscribe. If you can give me a comment and a like, it's very, very much appreciated, because it does help out no end. And I'll see you on the next one. Thank you.